Showtime!
Ladies and gentlemen, please make your way to your seats.
Showtime!
Please make your way to your seats. The show is about to begin.
Showtime!
Let the magic begin.
The BionicBee Autonomous Flying Swarms.
Yeah. Scary, but cool.
Yeah, they definitely look cool. What's going on here?
Yeah, so Festo has developed the BionicBee. So Festo is like, think of them like kind of like 3M. They've got their hands in everything, right? So they've developed the BionicBee, which is the world's lightest flying robot at 95 milligrams, and it obviously inspired by bees. It uses ultra-thin polyamide film wings that flap at 170 times per second with piezoceramic actuators. So the tiny drone can maneuver dynamically and hover stably, just like real bees. It's remotely controlled by a radio and visualizes flight data with augmented reality, which is really cool. Obviously, potential applications are in swarm robotics, automation, inspection, logistics, different things like that. So the wings that are made, it mimics the elasticity and aerodynamics of a bee's wing, which allows the flapping motion. And the piezoceramic actuators vibrate to flap the wings. So these materials expand and contract with voltage changes, which enable the high frequency flapping, which is like, this solves the problem that I was always concerned about, because they've always talked about how we need to mimic nature. We need to like, nature is the best for engineering, but like the wings of these insects and birds, they flap so fast and so complex. How do we replicate that? And it looks like Festo has solved that. So the lightweight carbon fiber body, it integrates the actuators, electronics, sensors, and batteries, and that's what makes it super lightweight. They have sensors on the BionicBee. It can measure acceleration, yaw rate, and distance, so it can stabilize flight in real time and enable agile maneuvers. So it's really cool. The augmented reality system uses IR cameras and markers on the drones to visualize its position and orientation in real time as it flies. So really, really, really interesting, cool, new miniaturized tech.
A couple of questions. We're going to see them here, but it's hard to tell. Oh, this one you can see. I guess this is how small they get. That's not all that small.
No, not yet.
And we're watching the video on the Festo site here about the BionicBee, and we saw how they transition from over 20 grams down to less than 3 grams of for the shell of the unit.
Yeah.
To get this happen. So how does the flight capability compare to real bees in terms of agility and stability?
Yeah. So for its size, it has impressive flight capabilities, but obviously it falls short of matching the agility and stability of real bees. So the drone's ability to hover in place can rival bees thanks to the rapid wing flapping. And for those of you who are Dune fans, it kind of reminds me of the ornithopter as well.
Yeah.
So, however, the thing with bees is they utilize a variety of different wing motions and configurations to produce diverse maneuvers, including inverted flight, which the BionicBee doesn't have that ability yet. Bees can dart and change direction with extreme quickness, which exceed human reflexes. So the drone's response time is slower in comparison. The complex aerodynamics of the bee's wings and jointed body allows them to have superb stability in turbulent conditions. So right now, that drone's ability is challenging. The bees augment lift and control using subtle wing motions and body adjustments. And so the fixed wing BionicBees lack such fine-tuned control. Top speed of bees, didn't know this, can reach 20 miles per hour. But the BionicBee can only reach 5 for now. But again, we're in early stages of this too. So bees have much wider flight envelope for speed, range, altitude, and weight carriage.
So this video seems to be queuing up here, but this looks great. I want to ask, why? First of all, why have a bird-sized bee? What are we, what they're trying to get to, what it can actually do besides camera?
Yeah. So They could monitor crops. They could search disaster sites. They could inspect infrastructure or survey construction sites. Their small size allows them to navigate through extremely cramped or inaccessible areas. Logistic systems could use swarms for rapid last mile delivery in urban environments. So if they scale it up maybe more or use multiple. Redundancy in swarms provide robustness. So failure of individual drones has minimal impact. And also, through developing this, they're going to develop their machine learning algorithms, which will allow the swarms to collaborate and make collective decisions, which is kind of scary. So, yeah, there's a lot of potential applications. Yeah.
What do you think the challenges are on scaling this down?
Yeah. Weight. So I think we're gonna have to. So the other thing. So yeah, there's a couple things. So, getting it smaller, building the actual frame itself at a smaller scale is going to be difficult. The problem is reducing the weight. Because you have components like circuits, actuators, and power systems, which bees don't. The lift generation, so they're going to have to redesign the wings and optimize flapping motions, stability. Again, so they have these challenges at the scale right now. So what I think they need to do is they need to achieve a better bionic bee before they scale it down. But even scaling it down, there's going to have to be new technology that comes out, smaller actuators, smaller components, smaller mechanical components, everything like that. A whole bunch of different things. So cost is going to come into play here. How long it can last is definitely going to come into play because obviously it runs off a battery. So,
and what are the swarm capabilities? Like having a bunch of them together, is that going to help, for example, pollinate and help with the bee shortage we're having with props and pollination and whatnot?
It could, but the biggest problem is the short battery life. So it only lasts 3 to 5 minutes. So it would make it difficult for the current bionic bees to pollinate crops efficiently. Obviously, because we know bees can fly for hours continuously. The drones lack the ability to actively collect and distribute pollen, so they have to add something to it as well. Current drones don't have the sensing capabilities to target and pollinate all flowers, whereas bees have specialized sight, smell, and touch to find flowers. And speaking of which, this no mow May is absolutely BS. I think it's stupid. I think it's ridiculous. I don't think it's helping at all, by the way, but that's on the side note. I think it's just creating more allergies, more pollen not more pollen, but it's just creating more problems. But anyways, I digress. So the drones would need to be programmed with the optimal pollination motions and patterns for each specific crop type, which again, not like as we look to these new technologies like self-driving, like you have to start somewhere. So, but there's going to have to be more advances in energy supply, pollen transport methods, weatherproofing, AI pollination programming, and obviously autonomous navigation would be needed.
So I got someone at the door I got to run and check, but I'm going to ask you something and I'll be right back. How close are we seeing these swarms of these drones being deployed in like real commercial applications?
Yeah. So based on the current state of development of this, the technology is obviously in early research and prototyping stage with only basic flight testing completed. So they're going to have to do fundamental improvements in flight time, weather tolerance, autonomous navigation. That's going to be needed to be achieved first. They're going to have to develop machine learning techniques to coordinate the swarm behavior and decision making. That's also still in early phases based on what I've read. The safety, reliability, and collision avoidance must be validated before large public deployments. Again, that's probably it may need more sensors, but they do have the IR on board, so they might be able to use that. Many of the proposed applications like crop pollination, surveillance, and delivery, they're going to require major leaps in capability, specifically flight time. Like 3 to 5 minutes is nothing. It actually could be something for smaller areas, but transitioning from lab prototypes to robust commercial systems could easily take at least 5 to 10 years. Not to mention public acceptance of bee-sized drones. So that's going to be cool. So that's going to be challenging as well. So we may see limited pilot deployments of small groups of drones within 5 years for preliminary services, like maybe urban parcel delivery. But widespread, fully autonomous swarms, we're 10 plus years away for sure, easily.
So the whole idea of an autonomous swarm that's controlled by AI or anybody scares the crap out of me for a number of reasons, and we'll get to that in a bit. But I wanted to take a look at, like, they got the Bionic Swift, which is some sort of bird, emotion butterflies, the Bionic Opter, smart bird, the Bionic Flying Fox, looks like a bat. So
this is great. Oh, go ahead.
No, these are cool.
Yeah, this is great spy technology too, because you're mimicking birds, which and bees too. Like, well, bees is obviously you're going to notice something like the bee, but if you can come up with a bird that looks more like a bird, I think they have submarines that look like dolphins that you can't tell. I think for spy purposes, but again, we could be getting into conspiracy theories.
Well, I mean, it's not conspiracy theories. We're going to talk about what this technology could be used for. You talked about the limited battery life. Right now, what are they talking about range-wise for these things?
So I think it's like, I don't know. I think it depends on how fast. So if they can only go, I'm not going to do the math quickly in my head. They can only go 5 miles per hour at 3 to 5 minutes on one charge. So what's that? A few hundred meters, 1,000 meters.
Okay.
Yeah. Not too far.
Okay. And
yeah, but so the recharging time takes 40 to 50 minutes after a full discharge.
Oh, okay. That's a problem, because you know your swarm can't go very far. So obviously that has to change for it to be of a real practical use.
Yeah.
But, you know, the idea of a bee or a butterfly or something that size around could definitely be a great spy tool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there's a lot of potential applications too. We talked about some of them, but spy technology definitely is one. We'll see if Boeing gets involved. If Boeing gets involved, then they'll have crashing problems. But
yeah, let's not get into that. I just don't have a lot of good things to say right there, and you know. But something like the Bionic Swift looks like it would potentially be able to fly farther just from one, you know, the wingspan and glide and whatnot, or the smart bird, or even the Bionic Flying Fox here.
I'd be curious to see what kind of payloads they could carry.
Well, this becomes the idea of, okay, you know, payload, what could be there, but not also. They don't necessarily have to fly all the way, because we could be delivering these things on the back of other drones that have huge range.
For sure. Yeah.
So
and these could be like kamikaze kind of things, where they're birds that are just diving down, right?
They could, if you wanted to. I just think maybe. But why not just, if you have to deliver a lot of range and you have to send a drone or whatever there anyway, you know, why not just have something on that and have it do that? But, you know, there's other reasons to do that. You know, we talk about Russia, how, you know, we hear the stories how he poisons his competition. You know, you could definitely do some weird stuff like that with these things if we wanted to get into that.
Yeah.
But just the technology is cool. It'd be interesting to see how many. Now, one, is this going to be everybody grabbing one of these and, you know, spying on our neighbors with a drone butterfly sitting on the window?
Essentially, yeah. Well, they're using drones right now to spy with the DJI minis and those the FPV ones too. So,
oh yeah, those things are pretty small. So I think, you know, we're getting into a whole new creepy age, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I love the concept of these drones. I did read a book ages ago that had really small insect AI controlled drones, and that was the bad AI took over and whatnot. It was interesting. You have any final words on this and where this is going?
Yeah, this is just going to all those sci-fi movies and things like that you're seeing right now. They're using drones as swarms anyway. So this is just miniaturizing that and maybe more stable, and maybe we're going to get to the ornithopters at some point.
Yeah, and I guess you say one of these things could drop like a regular drone could drop 10 or 100 of these things that dive bomb. And I guess if you're talking about countermeasures and whatnot, having 100 of these things fall versus one is harder to stop.
For sure. Yeah.
So if people are looking for funding for their business, who should they talk to?
Yeah, come talk to me, Shred. I know the deadline's coming up June 30th. If you want to get it in, come talk to me. Come talk to me about any grants. I tend to just to give you guys a heads up. A lot of times I have to play the bad guy, letting you know that there really isn't much out there for you, but happy to explore and kind of let you know what's out in the landscape. But reach me on LinkedIn, John Irwin. If you have any questions, happy to help. If you want to talk automation, reach out as well if you need some automation help.
And you've been talking about this social sunrise.
Yeah, this weekend. So Sunday they actually have, for those of you who aren't morning people who are night owls, they actually have a sunset social the night before. So this is going to be interesting to see how tired they are the next day because it's the same people. But this is a great thing. So it's not tech related, but you do breath work, you do mindfulness, you do some yoga, there's some music. It's a great community, very welcoming. There's cold plunge and sauna. So really, really fun, cool stuff to do first thing in the morning on a Sunday.
Yeah, it looks like fun.
Yeah.
And we've got a few things coming up. It's May 23rd when we're recording this. May 30th is Startup Investor Drinks. We're at, 50 plus people on this one. I just announced yesterday our Collision After Party on June 20th. And we're already well over 60 tickets gone for that. It's our biggest event of the year. So you definitely want to go to startupdrinksto.com and you can get tickets to both there. Or links to the Eventbrite, depending on where you want to get them. All our other stuff is on TorontoStarts.com, the Future Tech Podcast. If you're looking for help, if you want to look at Toronto entrepreneur events and whatnot, check out TorontoStarts.com. And if you're stuck in your business and want to move forward, go to startupcoach.ca, book a discovery call, and we'll see if it makes sense for us to work together.
Absolutely.
Wow,